You're watching Drakewing Gaming. Enjoy the video. Hello everyone, Nary here from Drakewing Gaming, and some of you know me on Twitter, The Gaming Dragon. Today I'm coming at you another Let's Play episode of No More Future, and as always, you know I'm bringing Sedge with me.
Oh, hi. Greetings.
So let's
Bye.
Bye. A couple of people were saying that your mic sounded like it was still a little low.
Oof. I wouldn't know how to make it louder.
You actually, you sound pretty
than...
loud right now, actually. I think that's perfect
nice.
now. Yeah, because last video... Okay, talk again.
How about now?
That sounds pretty good. Yeah, that sounds,
Okay.
You sound higher than you were in the last video.
I'm not on drugs.
Well, I just came from Colorado, so... Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and start us off. Alright. Right on cue, you realize that you lost about 5 more sets to her while you were busy explaining your predicament. It's good to know that your hands can still move your character while you're thinking of things other than the game. You just wish that those movements were a little better than that. You have a feeling that your performance wouldn't improve all that much even if you gave it your all. This video game is much tougher than you initially thought it'd be, and your opponent much tougher still. As you're thinking that, you hear Daphne address you once again.
So, you defended Apollo from some thieves, right?
Now, that's a little out of the blue. You expected her to ask about this topic at some point, but not this early, especially when the person you're talking about isn't even here to listen to it. Regardless, you see no reason not to answer her question now that she's formulated it. I did. I'm pretty sure we already established that.
We have, yeah. That said.
You wait for the human to make her point as your character gets knocked out once again, only a few hits away from returning the favor.
I still don't get it.
Huh? What do you mean?
I don't get why you did it. Why would you go out of your way and take a baiting for him? After all, you know how this country deals with those who participate in fights. Would have made more sense for you to pretend you didn't see anything.
You understand what she means. You had similar thoughts after the scuffle, too. But Mary promised the law couldn't touch you anymore, so you're pretty sure you're going to be fine in that regard. Would you have preferred me to join the thieves and start beating him up? The human doesn't seem to pick up on your irony. She answers your hypothetical.
Of course not. But at least I could have seen that coming.
Seen that coming? Are you kidding me? Aren't you being a little extreme right now? The girl shakes her head at your question, a confused and empty look in her eyes.
I'm just being realistic. You have nothing to gain from getting involved. A regular person would just walked away, or maybe report a fight and put in weed to or something. Meanwhile, you charge in without a second thought.
She does have a point. You truly did act on nothing but a whim back then. Even had you known that you'd be rewarded with a good meal for your troubles by Apollo, it wouldn't have been enough to justify your reckless actions tonight. Especially considering what could have happened had someone caught wind of what was going on.
Look, I get it. I'm sorry for doubting you, alright? You helped us out tonight, and I'm grateful for that. I'm just a little surprised is all. We're not used to people helping us out like you did. This is how it's always been for us. That's why I have to ask. Why would you do that? Why would you go out of your way and endanger yourself with something you didn't know?
Why did you do it indeed? Among all the answers you could give, you don't know which would be the most accurate or truthful. In the end, however, you feel confident enough to share this one. Because I felt like it was the right thing to do. The human's expression appears to crack as you give her your answer. She doesn't seem to know how to reply to your answer in the slightest.
The right thing? What even is that?
For a moment, you think that she's just messing with you, but her words are so sincere that you have to do a double take. You're kidding, right? The girl stays silent for a while, seemingly unsure of whether she should even answer that question entirely.
I'm not. I really don't know. Do you?
Now there's another question you never thought you'd be asked. What's up with all these people asking you strange questions as of late? Well, the right thing to do is the right thing to do. You know, something that you have to do, you know? It's because it's the right thing. You were so unprepared for that question, you couldn't avoid using circular thinking to explain your point, much to the girl's dismay. Even you are disappointed about how stupid you sounded while trying to explain such a simple concept.
And how are you supposed to know that something is the right thing to do? How can you tell when you have to do something?
Uh, let's hope you can give her a slightly better explanation this time. Wouldn't want to make a fool of yourself before her for the umpteenth time tonight. Well, you know, because you can feel it. It's, you know, like in your heart.
Same. My heart.
Silence and doubt yet again. You may have known Daphne for about 20 minutes now, but it already feels so weird seeing her like this. I guess a better way of explaining it is that, had I not tried to help Apollo, I would have surely regretted it. I know that I had no reason to help out your brother, but had something happened to him when I could have prevented it, I likely would have regretted it for the rest of my life. I'd relive that moment from earlier tonight over and over every day and curse myself for not doing what I could have. The girl keeps quiet for a while as she mulls over your words. You can't quite tell what's going through her head right now, but it's clear that she's taken your words to heart.
Can't say I understand everything you said, but now I think I'm starting to get it.
Well, that's good at least. Though, is it really that hard to understand?
Look, your answers are tough, right?
And your questions are weird.
Yeah, I guess. What can I say? I'm ignorant like that.
You're not ignorant.
Yeah, I am. There's some stuff I don't know, alright? Especially when it comes to dealing with people. I didn't exactly have many friends growing up.
Is that so? Apollo said something like that too. The girl hesitates to meet your gaze, an unhappy look on her face.
I'm sorry if my questions are weird. I didn't mean to offend you or anything.
You didn't offend me, I was just a little surprised is all. I don't mind these kinds of questions. You're not even the first to ask me stuff like that out of the blue. I'm just happy to help, really. Daphne hints at a smile as she turns to face you once again.
Well, thanks for all the help then.
After that exchange is over, you go back to focusing on the game before you for a while. You're slowly getting the hang of it, but you're still nowhere near Daphne's level. Even when she plays the supposedly worst characters in the game, she still handily beats you by a long margin. You've become so focused trying to snatch a win from her, you almost didn't notice her sliding closer to you while you play.
Anyway, as we talked about earlier, what can I tell other people who talked to Apollo tonight?
Huh? Shouldn't she be asking Apollo about this? Or at least ask you in his presence? Nevertheless, you see no reason not to answer her reasonable query. There were three. 2 guys and a girl, all about 20-something. Aside from one of them who was carrying a baseball bat around, they just looked like average people, just a bunch of idiots trying to make a quick buck or something. You notice that Daphne's performance in game is starting to dwindle all of a sudden, likely a result of her focusing her attention on this important talk.
I see. So you know they wanted from Apollo?
They said something about his money, but that's about it. Why? The human barely reacts as you finally take one of her lives.
Did those guys give you any trouble when you stepped in?
Did she even hear your question just now? She looks like she did, and yet... I mean, not really. They tried to fight me off, but I was more trouble than they could handle, it seems. I don't think they would have even picked that fight had they been able to see who they were really messing with. Oh, that's right. I almost forgot. One of them had an ability. I think he was just a regular cryomancer. Well, as regular as ability users can get, anyway. Luckily, it was nothing I hadn't handled before, but...
Does any people with abilities have trust now?
You interrupt your explanation as you realize that Daphne's muttering something under her breath. Her expression half hidden from you, she retreats further into the sofa. What in the world is she talking? Oh, no way. Hold on a moment, are you saying you know who those guys were? Upon realizing that you heard her and wish to know more, the woman suddenly turns defensive.
It's not any of your business.
Not my business, but...
I said what I said. Don't make me repeat myself. And keep your voice down, for fuck's sake. Apollo could hear us.
You've no idea why Daphne would rather not involve her own brother in this discussion, seeing as though he's the one who was harassed by those thugs in the first place, but you're willing to agree to her conditions if it means prodding her a little further. Do you know what they were after?
You said yourself. Money.
Right. Does the fact that you know them mean that this is a regular occurrence for you? No answer. Who were they, really? More silence. You understand that you're being a little rude by pressing her for information like this, but given the apparent gravity of the situation, you simply cannot hold yourself back. Come on, are you really going to keep all this stuff to yourself?
This isn't your problem to deal with.
Not my... You're honestly astounded that you've managed to keep yourself from shouting so far. I went out of my way to protect your brother from those people.
It was never meant to go out there in the first place. So I don't know why...
Daphne shakes her head as she turns to look at you once again, a pleading look on her face.
I'm thankful for your help tonight. Really, I am. But that doesn't mean you're still involved in all this. This is my mess to fix.
What this mess even is, you still don't know. You have a vague idea, but maybe now that she's willing to compromise, she might find it in her to answer some of your questions. All right, fine. I get why you don't want me to involve myself or whatever, but why do you not want to involve him? He's the one who got jumped by those thugs in the first place.
Paul doesn't deserve to get wrapped up in all this. He's innocent. He's already gone through so much. The last thing he needs is something else to worry over.
And yet, nothing's going to stop those people from harassing him again, is it? Once again, the human can reply with nothing but silence. There's a difference in this quiet, however. Whereas before you could only perceive anger in it, now it feels more as though it's born of regret. Look, As you're about to ask the adamant human even more questions, a familiar voice coming from behind the couch startles you both.
Hey, you guys having fun?
The sudden sight of Apollo warmly smiling at you renders you thoroughly speechless. How long has he been there? Judging from the look on his face, he must have just arrived, but...
Oh, you actually beat her?
The boy stares at the screen in front of you, where your victory is clearly displayed in the post-battle results. You totally forgot about the video game. So taken you were in that argument with Daphne.
I'm impressed, Isaac. That's a huge achievement.
If he really just arrived, does that mean he really didn't hear the harsh words the two of you were whispering at each other? You've half a thought of telling Apollo everything on the spot, seeing as though his sister likely won't. However, seeing as though you still know so little about what's going on, perhaps you should wait before doing something so careless. While you think how best to proceed, you resume your talk with Apollo as though nothing's out of the ordinary. Yeah, don't be so impressed. I lost plenty of matches before getting to this point.
Don't sell yourself short. Winning against Daphne is no small feat. I would know. I still get to properly win against her. That's not true. You've won plenty of times against me. Yeah, when you led me, I can tell you go easy on me. That's not true.
And yet, the human's hesitance to greet her brother's gaze says otherwise.
It's alright. I'm sure you will win eventually. Maybe you could even give me a few pointers, Isaac.
Huh? Me?
Of course. If you want to share your knowledge with me anyway.
It'd be my pleasure. The young man's lips curl into a happy little smile, likely thinking of all the fun you'll have together. This light-hearted conversation is quite the contrast to the heated nonsense you were discussing with Daphne a while ago. You can't blame Daphne for trying to protect that smile at all costs. Maybe her decision to leave Apollo in the dark might not be as senseless as you thought.
Oh, that's right. I almost forgot. I came here to tell you guys that the meatballs are ready.
Now that he mentions it, the inviting smell coming from the kitchen is more intoxicating than ever. You'd completely blocked that out while you were fighting with Daphne, but now... You're glad that your new synthetic mouth can no longer salivate, else there'd be a gigantic lake on the floor by now. Dinner sounds awesome right about now. Do you want me to go grab the plates and cutlery for you?
Oh, there's no need. I already took care of everything myself. Plus, you're a guest. There's no way I'd ask that of you. Maybe you won't. And speaking of, guess who's on cleaning duty after you're finished? Not him, that's for sure. So now it's your turn to do the dishes.
The human chuckles at her brother's reprimands.
Alright. I'll take care of that, no problem.
The two of them sure are close, you wonder. Being an only child, you always thought siblings would be far more jaded between one another than this. And yet, fun banter aside, the two of them seem to care very deeply for one another. Watching the two of them smile at each other like that, you can't help but feel a knot in your heart growing tighter by the minute.
Sid, you alright?
No, yeah, I'm okay.
Oh, that's good. You said moving for a second, so I got a little worried. So, ready to join us for dinner?
Of course! I've been waiting to try out your cooking all night.
It really is nothing special, I swear. At least compared with Daphne's. Oh, please. What do you think I learned from, huh?
With plenty of laughter in tow, the three of you start heading to the kitchen area, the fragrant smell of meatballs and tomato luring you in. While walking there, you feel Daphne whispering something in your ear.
That's your question from earlier. I'll stop them. Trust me.
With that, the girl speeds up her pace and catches up to her brother ahead. All right, if you say so, I'll trust you. At least for now. You haven't had a dinner that's this nice in quite a while, truth be told. The spaghetti is cooked to perfection, the meatballs are juicy and well cooked, and every bite you take drives you toward the next. You thought you'd never get to enjoy eating again now that you're a synthetic. You owe one to Apollo for proving you wrong. It's been a while since you last addressed one another, so taken you were in the fine meal before you. Nonetheless, the quiet soon ends as the young lamb notices the pleased look on your face.
I see you're enjoying yourself. My sister's meatballs are truly the best, aren't they? You are meatballs. I rarely got a mixture ready. You're the one who did all the real work. No, I just did everything you asked of me, that's all.
Hey, don't underestimate yourself. This food really is amazing, and it's all thanks to you. The young lamb blushes as he turns away from you, evidently embarrassed. The sight's so cute you can't help but smile. His sister, on the other hand, is less interested in your compliments and more so with your appetite.
Honestly, I'm surprised I can even eat all this. Oh, I knew you didn't like it. I didn't mean like that. Give me a break. I'm talking about it being an android and all that. Is he even supposed to be eating right now? Does it interfere with your systems or something? Or are your microchips tomato sauce proof?
I understand where you're coming from. I couldn't figure that out myself for the longest of times. Long story short, the food is processed and disappears in my bloodstream over time. I'm not going to be overdosing on sauce tonight, I can promise you that much.
Bloodstream?
Something like that, yeah. Feels a little nicer than fuel stream, even though it's not as accurate. There's fuel running through my body at all times. It activates a generator inside me that powers my system, then distributes that electricity across my body as it shuffles around. It also slowly dissolves organic material over time without risk to the integrity of my systems. I think it's even enriched by the stuff I consume.
So you eat because it helps charge your batteries?
Well, yes and no. On one hand, you're right, eating does contribute to keeping me healthy, but it's not necessary by any means. I can survive off of my base supply of fuel alone. So really, the reason I eat is that, well, I do it because I enjoy it, because it's fun. Though, didn't I already say something about that when we were in the lobby earlier?
Oh, that's right. That's how we ended up talking about having dinner together, wasn't it? Also, I just noticed I'm facing the wrong way all of a sudden. That's bad. Time for a new rewrite. My apologies. I totally blanked out again.
Well, see, look, he has an explanation. He blanked out. Don't apologize. It's not your fault or anything. Besides, if anything, I should be thanking you for sharing such a wonderful meal with me. The lamb beams at your appreciative comments, and even this human seems a little happy at your response. However, she does appear a little perplexed about one specific thing you mentioned.
Enjoy it? Why we need to enjoy it, though? Daphne...
The girl seems a little troubled for a second, as if only now realizing the boldness of her question.
Sorry, I got a little ahead of myself. But let me go back a few steps. How often do you have to refuel? I imagine you gotta take breaks every once in a while.
In theory, it's once a week, though I usually do it more often than that just to be sure. I've got a device installed at my place that takes care of that for me while I rest. I just plug it in and I need to recharge and plug out once I'm ready to go.
You can rest?
The human seems rather confused by your answer, for some reason. While she ponders what to ask next, Apollo takes over for her.
That sounds interesting. Is it like a standby mode of sorts?
Not exactly, no. A human brain is always working, even while asleep. People don't take breaks in between their conscious moments, and supposedly neither do I. If my systems were to stop working at any point, You don't even need to finish that thought for the two of them to realize what you mean by that.
There's no way that could happen, though, right?
You certainly hope so. You didn't survive death once just to die a second time. And yet... Before you can venture any deeper into the depths of your fear, the girl tries to bring the two of you back to a less traumatizing topic.
Alright, so you can't just shut down and come back later. I get that much. But then how are you supposed to rest?
When I'm refueling, I wear a special VR headset that allows me to unfocus a little. It's kind of like watching a movie or listening to a really deep song. It helps me relax and lose my grip on reality for a while.
Like a dream?
Yeah, kind of like a dream. A very, very controlled dream. Definitely not as wild or unpredictable as the ones you used to have in your youth, which is both a blessing and a curse. As you think about it, you wonder whether this means you can also have nightmares. You'd think not, but then again, who knows what those lunatics at Pandora would do just to mess with you.
I still don't get it.
The human interrupts your train of thought with a strange interjection. What do you mean?
All this stuff sounds cool, don't get me wrong, but also kind of necessary when you think about it. Eating, sleeping, dreaming. Now you're half machine, it's not like you need to do this stuff anymore.
She does make a point, you reason.
I'm just wondering why they bother to add all these things when you no longer require them to live so.
I'm not quite sure. It's not something you gave much thought to before, truth be told. You always thought that your ability to do these things even as a synthetic was somehow normal, but now you see the strangeness of this situation. Why would Mary and the rest of her team do all this indeed? What motivation could drive her to help you retain all these interests, when all they are now is just meaningless fluff?
Oh, maybe to help you feel better.
To make me feel better?
I mean, I guess you already say all this stuff is kind of pointless and all. But I still enjoy eating nice food with you guys on my side, and nothing me getting to bed after a long day either. Maybe the people who made you want you to continue experiencing these things, even as an android. That way you wouldn't feel bad about not being able to do certain things anymore.
So I wouldn't feel any less human. That makes a lot of sense, actually. You're not sure how such simple reasoning hadn't occurred to you before. But this does explain even more than you originally thought, like your ability to still breathe on your own accord, or walk around like a regular person instead of running on wheels or something. Mary and her team really did conceive synthetics as the future of humanity, after all. Apollo seems quite happy with this realization.
It's nice to see your friends at Pandora care so much about you. They must really like you for going above and beyond for you like that.
You wonder whether you should tell them about that whole Arthur fiasco. Probably not. Better not to risk yet another headache thinking about that abomination of science. They could be nice sometimes, yeah. Pandora's definitely nowhere near as bad as a company as I thought they were. I just wish that everyone else would be a little nicer to me, too. Daphne turns away from you for a moment, looking a little embarrassed.
Right. Sorry about that again.
Oh, don't worry. I'm not talking about you. I already accepted your apologies for that. We're cool. And yet, Apollo averts his gaze from you nonetheless. You're pretty sure he knew in advance what was going to happen, but did nothing to try and prevent it. His sister's definitely shady for not telling her brother about those things you talked about earlier, but some of the things Apollo did don't sit well with you either. Though this could all just be because of his memory issues, it could be that he simply forgot to warn you about his sister's bad side, or maybe he thought she wouldn't be as rude to you as she ended up being. Since you still don't have any definitive answers either way, you try to forget about these worries of yours for a moment and return to your dinner time conversation. When I said I was mad at people for treating me poorly, I was talking about all the people out there.
Oh, right. You said something about in the hallway earlier. Ugh, dear lord. Alright. You said something about in the hallway earlier, didn't you? Something about how everyone else views you as some kind of weirdo?
Something like that, yeah. Pretty much everyone outside of Pandora thinks I'm gonna cause the apocalypse by the way they look at me. I get that Kronos was a big thing 40 years ago, but still. The doubtful look on Daphne's face hints that she's not wholly satisfied with your explanation. Meanwhile, Apollo's gaze betrays that he's not quite sure what the two of you are even talking about.
Isn't that whole Kronos thing a pretty big deal, though? Almost wiping out the entire planet is something most people view lightly, especially when half those people are there to see it happen firsthand.
Even so, me and Kronos are nothing alike. At least, you're pretty sure that's the case. I'm a living being, or I was at least. I'm not at all like a Kronos. After some time spent questioning of both you and herself, Daphne lightly shakes her head before turning to face you once again.
You know what? You're right.
You really mean that?
I mean, yeah. What, you think I'm gonna say something like people right be afraid of you or something shit like that? Fuck people. They're full of shit, a lot of them. If all they can talk about is how dangerous you are, that makes you dope in my book.
You can't help but chortle at the human's remark. Straightforward as it is, this girl sure has a way with words, you reckon.
Honestly, I'm pretty surprised you haven't cracked under the pressure yet. Must be pretty strong to have endured all that shit for so long. but I know firsthand how much bullshit the world can spare you sometimes, so if you ever need a hand, be sure to call me. And me, of course.
You're not quite sure what help the two siblings could provide you with, but you cannot help but smile at their suggestion nonetheless. Thanks! I owe you one.
No, you don't. We owe you one after tonight. I foresee a lot of free lunchboxes in your future.
You can't say you find that thought unappealing in the slightest. Having a secret top-tier restaurant a few floors up you can eat at every once in a while is definitely not a downside in your book. First impressions aside, Daphne and Apollo are quite the friendly and helpful pair. You feel as though you definitely misjudged them from earlier. Much like, to be fair, they did to you.
You know, there's still something I don't understand.
Lamb's expression sours all of a sudden as he begins pondering something you can't quite grasp.
If you don't like the way most people react to you, well, existing, then why come here of all places? Bloomberg never struck me as a particularly forward-thinking place, all things considered.
He
probably didn't have a choice no matter if I had to guess. It's not like he...
No, I chose to come here. Willingly.
But...
Your reply leaves the two siblings speechless. I'll bet not for long.
Well, that's an interesting decision for sure. Plays as backward as it gets. No fucking shit everyone here's got it out for you. You might as well wear a sticker and get back to Sedge kick me.
You turn to face the human, looking slightly irritated. I didn't do it for them, you know. If I could avoid it, I'd never set foot here again. The conversation's taking some very personal connotations all of a sudden. It's definitely not something you expected or looked forward to discussing, though that hardly stifles the siblings' curiosity.
But then, why would you come here?
It takes you a while to muster the energy needed to answer. Because my family lives here. At least, they used to live here. Hell, if I know where they went after...
Your family?
Daphne's expression appears to have considerably soured upon hearing that word, and her brother appears to be under a similar spell. Yeah, I've been looking for them ever since I came to. When we last spoke, a dark cloud takes over your mind as you touch upon those last terrible days. The things you heard, the things you said. The more you think about them, the colder your insides become. You try your best to push back against the darkness, hoping to stay sane long enough to get out of this conversation. Let's just say we didn't really leave on a high note. That's why I gotta find them again. I can't accept that they just move on without me. Not when I'm still here. Not when I can still be a not when we can still be a family. I know things are different and that they likely suffered a lot as a result of my passing. But I'm sure that if I can just show them what I've become, they'll realize that there's no reason to feel hurt. You take a long sigh as you sort through your messy feelings in your head. I didn't come this far and endure so much only to lose everything anyway. If I could regain my life, I'm sure I can regain my family too. I have to believe that.
You'll win them back sooner or later, Isaac. I have full faith in you. Anything is possible so long as you believe in it.
A smile on Apollo's face is all the comfort you need right now. His unbridled enthusiasm is more than enough to keep your dark thoughts at bay and restore your hope for the future. You're truly blessed to have someone like him by your side right now. His sister, on the other hand, appears far less ecstatic for some reason.
Let me get this straight. You're looking for the very people that abandoned you. Forget it. Nothing's good gonna come from that. You do well giving them all the middle finger and go... Oh, dear lord. You do well to give them all the middle finger and go do your own thing somewhere else. Daphne, you can't just say something like that. Why not? Am I supposed to encourage him while he goes on an endless quest for mystery? His family fucking ditched him, Apollo. Why the fuck should we connect the people who threw him in the trash with a second thought?
You're too stunned to say anything. Daphne's words cut deeper than she intended, and your wounds are beginning to show. Noticing your discomfort, the human pushes the still half full plate forward and stands up from the table.
Sorry, I'm not hungry anymore. I'll be in the bathroom.
Without another word, and with her face still staring at the floor, the girl fast walks out of the room with clenched fists swinging by her sides. You're left in the kitchen with Apollo, still busy pondering over her troubling advice. She suggested leaving behind your family, abandoning them like they did to you. Was she wrong in doing so? You can't say you don't see the point, given what happened. It wouldn't be unreasonable to try and forget about them entirely. But is that really what you want? Is that really Is that what you really gave... Blah, now it's happening to me. Is that what you really gave up your life for back at the hospital?
We're just super tired today, apparently.
Yep. In the midst of all this pondering, you hear Apollo trying to comfort you once again.
I'm sorry about this.
Don't be. It's not your fault any of this happened. In fact, was it something I said that made her upset? Am I to blame for her outburst?
Of course not. It's just a Daphne's pet.
The lamb hesitates to speak further about this topic.
She's had it rough is all. But I'm sure she'll get better soon. She's strong like that. I'm sure she'll be back any minute now.
The lamb quiets down after that assertion, hoping that his sister might hear him and come back to finish her dinner. However, his faith does a complete 180 before even 10 seconds have passed.
Anyway, I'll go check up on her just to be sure.
In the bathroom?
Yeah, gotta make sure she doesn't fall in the toilet. Or anything. You'll be fine on your own for a while, won't you?
You see no reason why you shouldn't be, assuming you don't lose your mind worrying over these two in the meantime. But you trust yourself enough to not have a panic attack in the middle of the lamb's apartment. Of course, I'll be waiting in the living room then.
Awesome. I'll see you in a bit then. Don't go anywhere. And feel free to play a few games on your own while you're waiting. I want you to get her butt next round, got it?
I can't promise much, but I'll do my best. Giving you a final thumbs up, the boy runs after his sister, leaving you all alone in the middle of the kitchen. Looks like you're going to be on your own for a while. Not exactly how you imagined your evening to turn out. Everything was much more interesting than you thought it'd be. Though you can't necessarily say you enjoyed yourself either. You have a final look into the bowl before you, which you completely emptied in the midst of your earlier conversation. At least the food was nice. You quietly head back towards the living room, resting your heavy back on the comfortable couch. You could certainly follow the young man's advice and play a couple more games on your own in order to be more prepared the next time Daphne challenges you to a fight. But you cannot seem to get past the results screen of your last upset, so wrapped up you are in your own thoughts. So much has happened since you first entered through that door. You're not sure how you're meant to feel right now. One thing's for sure, though. You're in no mood for playing. Tired and pensive, you find your gaze wandering towards the corner of the room, where some old framed photos reside within an alcove in the wall. Odd. You can't recall anyone else aside from your family relying on old artifacts like those. Though they seem somewhat ordinary, you're intrigued nonetheless. You stand up and head towards the alcove, your mind so overcome with curiosity that you don't even try to question the rudeness of your actions. Oh. Among the many photos which depict the two siblings in the younger years, one stands out among the others. The young Daphne and Apollo stare into the camera from afar, with what looks like their parents standing behind them. They don't look anything like her, that's for sure, though that's to be expected. It's exceedingly rare for two family members to share the same species, though not necessarily impossible. The photo itself looks rather nice, in spite of its simplicity. It's definitely among the cutest things you've seen in recent memory, Daphne's uncommon face included. Looks like she hasn't always been all doom and gloom after all. Apollo, on the other hand, doesn't seem to have changed much since then. You can't see their parents very well due to the strange lighting of the image, but the two of them look about as happy and proud as they can be. You wonder where they are now. Probably living someplace else, you imagine. Both Daphne and Apollo appear to be old enough to vote, and not everyone likes to live under the same roof as their parents past a certain age. Even you were planning to move out at some point, before the hospital sent you that letter. That's strange. How come the room got so cold all of a sudden? You could swear that you just felt a chill breeze pass you by, in spite of the fact that you're quite literally indoors. A strange feeling begins to crawl under your metallic skin all of a sudden. The all too familiar feeling of being watched. Where this feeling originated from, you have no clue. You haven't heard a sound from the direction that the two siblings have disappeared towards in quite a while now. And yet that dreadful feeling keeps growing stronger and stronger, like an obscure malady festering within you. Oh, shit! As your eyes are repelled from the photo by an almost physical force, you have to do a double take. There's someone, or rather, something lying just beyond the counter, watching you. For a few brief moments, you stare into its blood-red eyes in pure denial of the situation as your mind tries to convince you that this is nothing more than a simple dream.
Unexpected.
Or a nightmare. The words that come out of the entity's invisible mouth are like 1,000 whispers in the dark, shapeless and ever-changing. If before you were unsettled, now you are thoroughly frightened. Let me know when you want to stop it.
No problem, no word.
Okay. You shyly stumble backwards, holding the photo you were carrying against your chest as if to protect the two children within it from what you're witnessing. You try to avert your gaze from the apparition beyond the corner, if only for an instant, only to realize that it has long since vanished. You take a moment to stop and recover your breath. Futile though it may be, you're hyperventilating and your gaze is darting all over the place in search of that disturbance. You're clearly losing your mind. Was that some sort of hallucination? A visual bug similar to those wisps from earlier? Perhaps a consequence of visiting this madhouse for too long? What the? Your questions are immediately silenced as you feel a cold, weightless claw land on your shoulder from behind you. An ageless gaze tears into your soul as your body freezes up, incapable of reacting to the madness that has taken hold of this room.
You are purposeless.
Again it speaks, from a mouth that doesn't show.
What do you seek to accomplish here?
Another pause, though the respite is brief.
Perhaps.
The hand suddenly slides off of your shoulder. Its gaze shifts focus as it turns to face the other way.
You'll prove your worth yet.
You hear the sound of footsteps coming from behind you. 1, 2, 3, then no more. As fear grips you, as fear's grip on you subsides, you immediately turn around. However, no matter where you look, the shadow is nowhere to be seen.
What's going on? Isaac, are you okay?
Apollo's voice beckons you as both he and his sister rush into the room, looking rather alarmed.
Why are you standing there like that? Look like you've seen a ghost.
Once more you steer your gaze in the direction where that apparition disappeared to. The room remains as it always was, with not a trace of that phantasm left to see. Though you still fear that the entity might reappear again when you least expect it, you're somewhat confident that you're safe for now.
Hey, are you okay?
Right. You almost forgot about Daphne and her brother, dreading the return of that fiend as you were. Yeah, I just... There's no way you can tell them about what you just saw, not while you still have no idea of what you did see in the first place. As you struggle to come up with an excuse, you lock onto the old picture of the two siblings that you're somehow still carrying in your arms. I just recalled some bad memories is all. I guess that conversation earlier at the dinner table left me a little vulnerable. While Daphne's expression is anything but certain, the lamb wears his feelings on his sleeves quite cleanly.
Sorry, this is all my fault. I shouldn't have left you and you alone somewhere where clearly not feeling well.
That's because you went to check up on your sister. There's nothing shameful about that. And besides, it's my fault I got spooked about that spider earlier. I really overreacted.
Spider? You didn't say anything about that earlier.
Ah, fuck, I'm not paying attention. Gotta focus on keeping my story straight. If I have to tell them about what I saw, they'll really start to think I'm crazy. Yeah, it caught me off guard while I was thinking about some stuff. That's why I fell.
Oh dear, it must have been terrible. Wait.
The human's eyes are all over the room, inspecting the place from top to bottom. If she's looking for that spider, she'll be searching much longer still. Realizing that, Daphne turns her annoyed look on you once again in an effort to resume the conversation.
So, looking through all the photos, huh?
That's right. You were snooping around their private collection before that thing caught you by surprise. In the heat of the moment, with everything that happened, you completely forgot about your rude and thoughtless actions. Only now do you realize that you probably should have just followed the lamb's advice and kept to yourself for a while. I'm very sorry about that,
No, it's alright. I get it. Bad memories and all that. Plus, it's not like there are any rules on these parts saying the frames are off limits, even though there should be. That said, could you please return that photo? I don't want to get scratched or anything.
Oh, right, here. You hand the framed photo back to Daphne, who immediately brings it back to the half-hidden alcove in the corner.
Thank God nothing happened. Felt a little nervous for a second.
Is that photo important?
Very.
Even without knowing why that is, you still feel awful about grabbing that frame on a whim like that. It clearly has a special place in the two siblings' hearts, and it was rude of you to treat it so carelessly. You'd ask for their forgiveness once again, but you feel as though the lot of you apologize to each other more than enough for one night. Perhaps changing the subject will be a better received initiative. So, was everything alright?
Yeah, Daphne just needed a moment to get her thoughts stored, that was all.
The girl's gaze nonetheless refuses to meet with yours, almost as if she were embarrassed by what happened.
Anyway, now that we're all here, we can go back to playing video games. I look forward to seeing you guys do it all night now. I'm sure it'll be a battle for the ages. Come on, Paul, you can see he's tired.
You are? If you do, you honestly can't tell.
Maybe Isaac would rather head home now and come back another time. We can't know unless we ask. Oh, you're right. Sorry. So, what do you want to do, Isaac? We could do something together, or we can just call it a night if you prefer.
Truth be told, you were looking forward to playing a few more games with Daphne earlier, if only to get another shot at knocking her down her pedestal. On the other hand, with everything that's happened tonight, it's kind of hard to muster the same enthusiasm again. With so many questions cluttering your head, enjoying the game could be pretty tough. Not to mention, it's possible that you may be overstaying your welcome. Maybe that's why Daphne mentioned your tired look before. I think I'm gonna have to pass. Daphne's right, it's been a long night and I could use some rest.
That's unfortunate. I was really hoping that...
I'll be back another day, alright? I've been looking forward to tearing Daphne a new one myself. Maybe we can arrange that for another time if you'll still have me. Apollo's spirits are reinvigorated upon hearing your promise.
You really visit again?
As many times as you'll have me. Your words seem to have a positive impact on the young man, who can barely keep himself together. Daphne, on the other hand, doesn't seem to have any issues keeping her own emotions in check.
Alright then, I'll accompany you to the door.
Gotcha. See you again, Apollo.
You too, Isaac.
You exit the apartment after waving your goodbyes to the landman final time, who gladly reciprocates in kind. He doesn't follow you all the way to the hallway, however, instead heading towards the back of their home where you assume the bedrooms are located. Poor kid, probably deserves a good night's rest far more than you do. His sister quietly hangs by the door, getting ready to see you off for the night. Thanks for the nice dinner, by the way. I never really got to thank you for that.
Mention it. It was nice sharing with you.
The girl's expression once again veers off into the uncertain, some heavy thoughts likely troubling her mind. What's up? You feeling well?
Yeah, I'm fine.
It takes her a moment to continue the conversation.
Look, did you really mean what you said earlier? To Apollo?
What are you referring to?
You know, about you wanting to come back again.
Are you serious? Judging from her silence, it appears as though she is. Of course I meant that. I had a fun night.
Right.
You don't believe me?
Yeah, sorry about that. Hard to believe someone will go yell at thrice in one night would ever want to come back here again. Of course, it's possible I just want to come back here for Paul and the food and stuff, but even then,
Look, I'm gonna be real with you. You're right. You did give off the impression that you're a fucking psycho. And I'm not gonna tell you that I enjoyed all those shouting matches either, no matter how much I can empathize with you. But...
What?
I still had fun with you guys nonetheless. I enjoyed playing video games with you, hanging out and chatting with you and your brother, and yeah, the food was pretty good too. All in all, you didn't strike me as the sort of person I should steer clear from too much. Rather, I'd love to learn more about you. Plus, you treat me like an actual person when... Oh, hold up. You treat me like an actual person when I'm around you. That's already a big plus in my book. The girl remained stuck in place for a while, thoroughly speechless. It's clear that she definitely didn't expect your reaction to be so positive. The silence is interrupted when she finally starts cackling under her breath, a wide smile on her face.
Touche.
Sorry?
Never mind. What I meant to say was... thanks. We'd like to have you back as well. I'd like to have you back as well. And forever Celeste had fun summoning with Apollo. Maybe one day you'll actually pull a challenge at Reaper's Scythe.
Just wait and see. It'll be sooner than you think.
It better. Kicking your ass only so fun when you can do is jump around like a scared bunny.
Look who's talking, you camper.
Camper? I played a ranged character. There's nothing campy about taking advantage of a character's full kit.
Full kit? You barely used 10 moves at most. At least I tried to diversify my options.
Oh, is that what I call that? I thought you were just trying to dance the salsa or something.
The hallway suddenly filled with you and your friend's laughter, probably much to the nearby residents' annoyance. You could tell that the human was just messing around, and she knew you were as well, a light-hearted contrast to the heated debates from earlier. Maybe there really is hope for this strange friendship between you two. Either way, I'll be looking forward to hanging out with you and your brother again.
Likewise. Feel free to return one of these days. I'm sure I'll never object to having you around.
Of course. Want me to share my number?
You mean your phone number?
Daphne, I am the phone now.
Oh. Right. Even though you look enough like a human, it's kinda hard to remember you're an android sometimes.
I'll take that as a compliment.
Alright. And while we're at it, here's my number as well.
The two of you take some time to share your respective numbers. The girl writes yours down on her smartphone, whereas you commit hers to memory and hope that it'll be enough. You have a CPU for a brain, after all. It'd be pretty ridiculous if you could still forget things like that on a whim. Nevertheless, now that there's nothing else that needs to be done, you can bid goodbye to your new friend. Alright, I should go now. Thanks for everything.
No problem. Call me if you need anything, alright?
Of course. See you again one of these days.
I'll count on it.
With that, the human gently closes the door behind her, leaving you all alone in the middle of the hallway. There's nothing left for you to do but head back to your apartment and wait for the next day to start. You cannot think of anything better to do with your time than that at this hour of the day. Hopefully tomorrow will be at least a little calmer than today was. As you head towards the stairs, you can't help but wonder over everything that happened tonight. A kind young man with strange memory troubles, a human girl that hides secrets from both you and her own brother, and a band of strange criminals who seem to have a history with them. Not to mention that strange shade you met while you were messing around in the living room. That has got to be the scariest thing you've ever saw in your life. Like something straight out of a horror film. It definitely wasn't human. You're not even sure it was even physically there with you. Could it have been an ability then? No, even that's ridiculous. Abilities usually consist in the manipulation of the elements, temporary shape-shifting, or other superhuman feats. A perfect example would be those ice manipulation gimmicks that Thug tried to use against you earlier. But that thing was entirely unlike anything you've ever heard of. It looked like an actual ghost who could both reason and talk as if it had a mind of its own. You've heard of uncommons who possessed atypical powers before, but even that still doesn't answer the most important question of all. If that really was an ability, who did it belong to? I'm probably overthinking this. It was probably just a visual bug of some sort, or a hallucination, or maybe just my imagination going crazy for a second. Maybe I should just take some pills for this, assuming there are any that could work on me. Maybe I should ask Mary about it tomorrow. With these thoughts keeping your head occupied, you continue on your merry way towards your apartment, hoping that no further apparitions will startle you again on your journey. You enter your apartment, such as it is. Even though you've been living here for the past few days, it's still just as disorganized as it was when you first arrived. You meant to undo all the packaging and settle in as soon as you could, but laziness is a difficult demon to exercise, especially now that you have so much time on your hands. Your first instinct is to drag yourself to the bed in the other room and immediately go to sleep, but you hardly make it 5 steps in there before you collapse on top of the large couch in the middle of the room. You need a moment to collect yourself, or 2, or 100. Only now that you've sprawled on your sofa like an extra layer of clothing, do you realize how thoroughly today's events have drained you. From all the times where you were forced to recall your own death, to the ones where you were confronted by the misery of your current existence, to the people who treated you like trash simply because they could. Is there no end to how awful your life is going to get? Is there nothing you can do to show people that you, too, are worthy of respect and just the same as anyone else? Your mind grows ever darker as these thoughts begin to cloud your better judgment, though a few lights remain, even in the mist. Mary, Natalie, Apollo, Daphne, there are still some people willing to give you a chance, to show you the kindness that you so desperately crave. But even then, the specter of your existence, or lack thereof, casts a grim shadow on your hopes. If you truly are nothing more than a machine, if you truly are not the person you claim to be, will they still look at you the same way as they do now? Will they not cast you aside if you're nothing but trash? Will they not try to get rid of you if you're nothing but a monster? Like your family did? Though you cannot shed tears, you can feel your vision growing fuzzier as you begin to sob uncontrollably. You burrow your head into the pillow in an attempt to hide from your own fears, though that hardly seems to help. You've endured these feelings all day, but now they claim the suffering they feel they're owed. And so both your mind and your vision begin to fade to black.
And we can stop here for now.
Okay, cool. Alright. Awesome. Thank you so much, Sedge. I appreciate the voiceover work.
No problem.
Oh, extra long episode today. Everyone will enjoy that.
I hope so.
But yeah, thank you so much. I'm loving this. I can't wait to find out what that thing was either.
Yeah. Man, we're just fucking adding everything to this game now, huh?
cyber ghosts and elemental powers.
Human beings.
Humans.
That's probably the weirdest thing to see in a furry visual novel.
Oh yeah, like wow, that ghosts. Yeah, ghosts are cool. Oh my god, is that a person?
Yeah.
But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and ring that notification bell to the next video. I love you all. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.